Welcome everybody to the VLOGAN, a vlog for individuals with special needs and those who love them. Today I have the pleasure of having Rajai Saleh join me. She is the housing specialist at the Center for Disability Empowerment. You're going to find that she has been in the empowerment industry, if there is one, for a long, long time, and advocating for individuals with disabilities in all different kinds of ways. So, Raja, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
So, thanks for getting together. You came highly recommended by another source, Lauren Sabo. Did she, you know her?
Yes, because we have a mutual individual that we work with. Her law firm brought her client to us because
Oh,
she
cool.
needed assistance, support in her life. So we met a few times, virtually to see how we can best assist her and support her.
Amazing. So if you see me looking sideways, it's because I have gotten your website up,
Okay.
and then have some other things that I'm going to refer to. So I would love to kind of get to know a little bit about your work at the Center for Disability Empowerment. My understanding is that you are the housing specialist there.
Yes. Yes.
So awesome. Tell me about that work if you don't mind.
Sure. I can give a brief description of our center. So we are a nonprofit 501(c)(3 Center for Independent Living. And basically what that means is that we serve individuals with disabilities, regardless of age or disability. Basically, our philosophy is to empower people to live independently. Nothing about us without us is our main phrase. And we emphasize that people with disabilities are experts in their own lives and lead their own decisions. And they are the ones that will guide us to let us know how they would want to live, work, and participate in the community. So basically what I do is I get referrals for individuals who are looking for housing, especially people who need affordable housing. The housing situation out there is extremely difficult, especially for people with disabilities who live on a very fixed income. Most people I work with receive Social Security. So SSI, the maximum amount people get right now in 2025 is $967. And usually that's their only income. And people who receive Social Security disability might receive, a little bit more based on, their work credits that they uh, had in their life. After I get information from them to do an intake, I, see what their goals are and where they want to live, what their income is like, what their situation is like, how soon they need housing. Unfortunately, we have people who come to us that need emergency housing, and I have to just refer them to the homeless shelter. Unfortunately, we do not have housing that we just place people in. We
Hmm.
explain to people that we provide resources and information. That way that individual can also, do the work and search for housing themselves, but we are there to support them. So I provide them with resources on affordable housing, help people with applications if they need to. If they're already housed, but they're having issues like they are not getting a reasonable accommodation met, I can advocate and help them on their behalf. No, we're not lawyers or anything. So if they need anything that needs legal advice, or anything more complex, then we'll refer them to outside agencies like Legal Aid or Disability Rights Ohio, or anyone else that's able to assist. I also have had to intervene where individuals are maybe on the verge of eviction because of maybe some difficulty paying rent, and it could be to all sorts of circumstances. For instance, we had an individual who had just had a difficult time. He was working, but was on short-term disability and just couldn't afford his rent for a while. So what we do is sometimes we'll help, work with the property manager to work on a payment plan to help advocate as much as we can and make sure they do not get evicted. And I am also a referral agent for a program called the Ohio 811 Rental Assistance Program. So that is managed by the Ohio Housing Finance Agency. It is funded through HUD, but it's each state has their own funding. To qualify, individuals have to be disabled, have to have Medicaid, be extremely low income, and be under the age of 62. The process is that I place them on the waiting list by taking information from them, and then the Ohio Housing Finance Agency will, approve them to be on the waiting list. But it is a long process, especially for counties such as Franklin and, the bigger counties. It can take years for them to be selected.
Yeah.
Some of the smaller counties are a little faster, but the bigger counties take a long time.
It sounds like you do a lot. So if I can just kind of like maybe put it in a few bullet points. So
Yeah.
if a person has a disability
Mhm.
or someone is trying to assist someone with a disability, they could call you and they could find resources for how to find housing and place to live. They
Yes.
could also call you if they currently are in a housing situation and having difficulties
Yes.
either with rent or accommodations.
Mhm.
And then potentially, although it would be a long far away because of the waiting list, they could come see you and get on rental assistance program. That you would refer them and help them to match up with the rental assistance program.
So as a referral agent, I can sign them up, but then when their name comes up, I get information that they've been referred to an apartment, and then I inform the individual that I placed about that, and then they have to contact the property and make arrangements to see if it'll work for them. And then they still have to go through an application process where their information is verified, like income, identification, things like that. And then I'll help them, throughout the process to get settled in that apartment. But the rent will be based on 30% of their income. So that's where that difference comes in versus other places where it's higher.
Is this where we hear vouchers? Is that I hear things like Section 8 vouchers. Is that what this program, the 811, is?
Not specifically. So yeah, it gets confusing because Section 8 is through the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority. Well, every region has their own metropolitan authority. That's a different program, but it individuals who qualify will receive a voucher, and then they can take that voucher to any apartment that will accept it once they are awarded that. Now that is also a long process because specifically in Franklin County, usually people can sign up, but they're in a lottery system. So they can get selected, randomly. They can get selected quickly, or it could take years. And then once they're selected, they're actually then officially placed on the waiting list. So they're not even on the waiting list when they sign up online.
Mm.
And then they wait until they actually receive the voucher and they have to go through a process to get that voucher, and they give them an amount that they qualify for. And then they can take that to any apartment that will accept it.
So housing rental assistance could come through the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority, and that's the Section 8. But then where you refer them to the 811, that's different.
Yeah, that's through the Ohio Housing Finance Agency.
Okay.
It is tied to Medicaid. Now, Medicaid doesn't specifically pay for it, but you have to be on Medicaid to qualify for that program.
Got it. Okay. Terrific, terrific. So, if I could, can we just talk a little bit about your history? I understand that in looking at your LinkedIn, you were part of the Olmstead task force, or maybe still are. And then, just briefly, I'm going to tell people that Olmstead was the landmark Supreme Court decision that said that individuals with disabilities had a right to housing that was in the least restrictive and most inclusive environment in their community, and essentially was the impetus for removing institutionalization for people with disabilities. Did I get that right?
Yes, yes,
Awesome.
you did.
So tell me about that work.
Yeah, so the Ohio Olmstead Task Force, it was formed in 2002 by individuals with disabilities. I was introduced to it in 2012. I was hired on originally as a coordinator to kind of help out with the work. At the time, they were getting funding from the actually Ohio Department of Medicaid, program called Money Follows the Person. In Ohio, it was called Home Choice. And that's a program that helps individuals who are already in nursing homes or long-term care facilities to transition out of those and into the community. So they formed a consumer advisory council. So I was hired on to help coordinate that, but I also worked with the Ohio Olmstead Task Force kind of as a consultant to work to help out with the work. The funding ended in around 2018, but I continued on as a member. So I'm currently the secretary. I've been the secretary for a few years. And we meet monthly, virtually. Now we used to meet in person prior to COVID. But we've been meeting virtually and we find that a lot more people can participate this way. It's a coalition of disability groups from all around the state, whether it's people who work with the state or other disability organizations, and definitely people with disabilities. I myself have a physical disability, so I've been, involved in all these different programs and familiar with all the services that people receive. We meet monthly, we work on, advocacy, keep track of what's going on with the state that, or even on the federal level involving the disability community.
So
Um,
it's not just related to housing, it's kind of an advocacy group for all things disability.
yes.
Awesome. Can you talk to me a little bit about, I know I'm going to transition back to your work that you're currently doing for
Mhm.
the Center for Disability Empowerment and the housing. What's the interaction that you might have with the county board? Because what I hear from my clients is, well, if you want to find a place to live, you got to tell your county board that you want to, and then they can help you to find a place to live and maybe get income support through creative housing or something like that. I know I've just dropped a few names in there. Can you talk to me about your interaction with those two groups and whether that there is an interaction?
So we are separate, but a lot of times I have referred individuals to see to the county board. I've mostly worked with, adults, but at times we've had parents or caregivers, come to us and say, "Hey, my child needs, or my son, daughter, individuals I care for needs housing. They need, what can we do?" So when I work with them, I realize that for me to just provide them with housing, information for housing might not work because to me, it seems that they may need more support. But if they haven't been already connected to the county board of DD, so I encourage them to see if they qualify because that way they can get more support there.
In
Um,
addition to the housing.
Yes, yeah, and then there were times where people are already connected to county board, so I try to see if I can coordinate a meeting with their service coordinator to see what they've already helped with and how we can help in addition to that. So creative housing, you have to be already receiving services and have a service coordinator, and because it has to be referred through them. And I did actually speak with someone from the county board recently because I needed more information on how I can support the individuals I serve. It gets a little tricky when it comes to people who need that kind of support. And especially when they're an adult, a lot of times it's harder for them to get qualified for services through them because they look back at, was this individual disabled at a younger age? And they need a lot of supportive documentation. And a
Mhm.
lot of times some individuals are even, deemed too high functioning to qualify for services. So unfortunately, they're kind of stuck in a limbo where they need that support, but they're not qualified for it. The County Board of DD is great for people who are already receiving services, but yes, for adults who are not, it's a little harder to get connected with them. But yeah, we work side to side. I usually try to refer people to them when I can.
If I could give you an example, so
Mhm.
um, let's suppose that there's an individual who has had a TBI, traumatic brain injury, and they are looking to advocate for themselves along with some supports from perhaps an adult parent and looking for housing. Is that a typical kind of client? So you're working with adults who are looking for housing? Is that right?
Yeah, but we also serve any age. So sometimes people who have children with disabilities, come to us and need that support. So yes, we don't turn anyone away. We work with everyone.
A person might come to you, or I might refer someone to you who comes into my office and they've never been connected with the County Board of Developmental Disabilities. They're over the age of 22. And they said, look, we're looking for opportunities for me, this is the individual, to move out of my parents' home. And the parents are supporting them and helping them to make this transition. They would be someone that I could refer to you and you could help them at least navigate those waters. While not
Yes.
providing housing, you could tell them, here are some options and where you might begin this journey.
Yes, exactly. That's definitely something we could do. We provide services not just for housing, but we have information and referral in general. We also have employment services. So a lot of times I work closely with our employment specialist. And she's very much hands-on, she meets people in person and supports them and, to help them look for employment and even supports them when they are employed to make sure it's the right fit.
Okay, the Center for Disability Empowerment doesn't just have the housing piece that you
Mhm.
coordinate. There's other parts to it. Is that right?
Yes, yes,
Awesome.
exactly. Yeah, so information and referral is one of our services. We have an information referral specialist who provides just general resources to people. They might call us, I need help finding food banks or furniture. Can you guide me? And then that's just kind of like a quick, yeah, here's some information. We also have a youth coordinator who works with our younger individuals. She provides monthly workshops on different topics like money management or other independent living skills, and preparing them for future endeavors like college or careers. We also have a healthcare coordinator. She works more on the state level on different, healthcare policies, and she works all alongside the Nysonger Center. We also do peer support, so sometimes we'll match people up if they need a little bit more support with individuals who have already received services or kind of, wanting to help out themselves. So we can match them up with other people who may need a little bit more support. And yeah, we provide workshops, town halls on different topics, just to connect with the community, essentially. That's our goal, is to connect with the community and provide information. Yeah.
Now, is your typical client an individual who is an adult with a physical disability rather than an intellectual or developmental disability?
Most of the people that I had referred to me are actually people who are in the I guess, mental health side, they may be facing homelessness. A lot of individuals I get have call our agency, especially those that need, more immediate housing,
Mm-hmm.
um, have been maybe referred to us from Southeast Healthcare, which is a center that provides, mental health services. Um,
Yes.
but we have had people with physical disabilities, so that's probably the second category. And a lot of times a little bit more difficult to help people who need specific physical accessibility because that's very much lacking when it comes to affordable housing.
Yeah, I can imagine, right? So the affordable housing is generally not going to be as well taken care of, correct? And so
Yes.
then there are impediments to access for an individual with a physical disability. Understood.
Yes. And also because properties are required to assign some of their units as accessible, maybe a percentage of units, but they do the bare minimum. So a lot of times, an apartment that's categorized as accessible will still be small and still hard to access for someone who uses a wheelchair.
Yes, understood. So this has been phenomenal. I can't thank you enough for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Vlogan. Please like, share, and subscribe so you can stay up to date with some of the latest news in the disability community.